right, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Seven Figures or Bust podcast. It's been a while since I last podcasted.
It's been a while. It's been way too long. Shockingly long. 3 weeks?
Probably around there, something like that. I think the last podcast we did was live and in person at the Seven Figure Medicare
Game
Agent Summit.
7. Game 7.
7. That's right.
Still sad about Halliburton.
It's great to be back with everyone.
It is. Also, guys, setting history today. I don't believe I've ever recorded a podcast sitting outside. That's happening right now. I am outdoors. We're going. We're going. So I'm excited about that.
Lot to talk about.
Yes.
On today's episode. You know, when you're off, the topics kind of seem to pile up a little bit. I am trying to locate the stream to pin it in the Facebook group.
I'm running a lot on battery. Normally, I like to try to have the stream on my phone, you guys, so I can see the comments coming in. Due to electric restrictions, trying to conserve my battery here, I will not be able to see your comments, but send them anyways. I'll make sure post-stream to comment or read anything that does get posted.
Yes.
It has been a while. There's been a lot. There's been a lot of current events. There's been a lot in the Medicare space, carriers, all sorts of stuff I think that we could get into.
Yeah. There's several things that I kind of wanted to start the show off with today. You know, of course, the main topic that I set it on was Medicare Advantage commissions, you know, because those have come to full fruition since we last did a show, 2026. Interestingly enough, we've seen them increase, and, you know, I thought we could talk about kind of what that entails. First things first, to kind of start the show, like talking a little bit about why we've been on hiatus, you know, because I've had some people reach out. I'm sure you have as well. Like, why aren't you doing a show? What's going on? So rewind a little bit back about 3 weeks. We do the Seven Figure Medicare Agents.
All right. That was the sound of rewinding, guys. Well,
that was terrifying.
The audio-only podcast. That's for you guys.
So we do the Seven Figure Medicare Agent Summit, right? It takes place on a Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday of that week. Then that Saturday, my wife has a baby. So the plan was originally for me to be out tending to said baby. And that never happened. The baby has not ever left the hospital. Not one second has he ever been outside of the hospital. He's still there. He's had all kinds of complications and things like that, been in the NICU. And so, you know, we decided that we should do a podcast. You know, it doesn't look like he's going to come home anytime soon. And so, yeah, I mean, just kind of been this hurry up and kind of waiting type of game. Appreciate all you guys that have reached out with your kind messages and, you know, hopeful thoughts about the situation and everything like that. But yeah, that's kind of why we went on a hiatus. I was supposed to be daddy daycare in full effect for a little while and never got the chance. Never really got the opportunity outside of just, you know, being in the hospital.
You know, we had, and just to speak to taking this break. So since January 1st, we really hadn't missed a single week. Really, I don't know if we missed a single episode, minus maybe like one or two over a 6 month, which it is wild. And some of you have already commented before when once you realize how often we were doing the podcast and you're like, what? Like, you guys are doing 4 a week? Every single week. I mean, so you know, we're well past 100 episodes. I think it was a much needed break, especially coming off the summit. And
Yeah.
I hope
Yes.
Cyrus gets home ASAP. Uh, I think it sounds like he's trending in the right direction. Would you say?
Well, he was, and then yesterday they told us that they believed he has pneumonia.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
no.
So
Why?
it
What led them to that conclusion?
so he's been having really severe breathing issues, and so they did a chest X-ray, and that's where they kind of came to that conclusion.
Oh,
And he's just, he's just very unhappy. He's acting very um, upset, very cranky. He's just clearly not feeling well. In a lot of pain the last day or two, and so they started him last night on antibiotics for that.
mm,
Um, and he couldn't take any feedings yesterday at all because of they're concerned about that. Um, yeah, so it's a saga in
it
every sense
is.
of the definition. It's just
We're
one
on
day we'll get
episode 7. Ep-
yeah.
It's Star Wars episode 7 already.
Yeah,
That's tough,
Palpatine's come
man.
back 3 times. Yeah, no, it's
Oh
horrible.
man,
It's horrible, and but we're at the same time we're glad he is where he is. He's getting
for sure.
It's better for it to happen there than here at home,
Yeah, yeah,
so it's just a matter of hurrying up and waiting, going in and seeing him every day. But yeah, we're kind of
yeah,
at this standstill point with him getting better and improving. So yeah, it's definitely a teeter totter. Seems like on a daily basis.
yeah. That's so tough. I hope Cyrus makes it home soon. Um, one thing that as we're kind of doing this rewind here and we're talking about what's been going on, I guess we really haven't had any public communications about post summit. How the
No,
summit went.
I did a live stream a couple weeks back, but that's the only thing I've put out there about it, I believe.
Yeah, I think I saw that one. I did a brief stream too, just kind of mentioning the break of the podcast and the summit, but maybe we could start there. Maybe we go back to the end of the summit and talk about maybe how the summit went and any thoughts around that.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to talk about that. I want to talk just super briefly about AHIP. um,
AHIP scores.
AHIP scores. In terms of the summit, right? Like for me, it was kind of an on eggshells, on edge kind of experience this year because it was one of those things where we were expecting the baby could come on its own at any moment. So I'm just like every day I was just being like, okay, we got one more day out of the way, one more day out of the way, one
Yeah,
more this many days to go. Um, but all in all, when I reflect back on it now, almost a month removed, I my thoughts on it are is I felt like it was without a doubt our best event we ever did. Uh,
totally.
from the presentation to just the experience to everything. I just
The
felt like
swag. I mean, top to bottom. Yeah, top to bottom. I think the quality of speakers. I think it was some of the. Whoa, speaking of swag, Mr. Brindle repping our brand new T-shirt for the audio only podcast listeners. We had an incredible T-shirt design. Shout out to Jake. Jake, a
yes.
lot of times we force him like Chinese water torture. We'll make him listen and watch this show. So hopefully Jake actually ends up hearing this. But shout out to you, Jake, on the T-shirt design. I think they turned out really good. I loved them.
Yeah,
But yeah, I thought. Go ahead.
I've loved all the t-shirt designs.
Yeah,
Maybe not year one, um, but after year one, I've liked them all. But this one probably was my favorite of any year. And I feel like definitely it's easy to have recency bias, but I truly do believe, right? Like, this was a jam-packed event. It was oversold um, in terms of capacity. The speakers were so good. I felt like in the past there hasn't been as much of the presentation element of the summit. It's kind of been all about the content. This year we had a better presentation element combined with the content, and I just felt like that makes for just a much more entertaining experience for everybody.
Christian and I have done live podcasts several times. I think the live podcast we did at the summit was maybe our third time doing that, fourth time. Hands down, the coolest, best live podcast we've ever done. We had a really, really awesome audience. The room was pretty much filled. It wasn't a big room. We probably had 20 or 30 agents in there, but that was super fun. Again, that was the last episode of the Seven Figures or Bust podcast was our live episode that we did together at the summit. But super fun to have you guys in person there, and that was how the summit started. I thought the welcome party was awesome. Again, we had Game 7 on. There was karaoke, drinks. The venue was great. It was right there in the hotel. You didn't have to go anywhere. And then we went right into the actual event the following 2 days. Again, great speakers, great content, great networking, the most attendees we've ever had. So, that being said, and I'll drop this nugget too. We did just get the recordings back. I know some of you have been reaching out. When am I going to get my recording? Everyone who paid for a ticket to attend, everyone who attended the summit, you will get the recording at no additional cost. So you will get a recording of all of the speakers and their presentations at no additional cost. If you didn't get a chance to go to the summit and you wish you had, the next best thing you could do is buy a copy of the recording. It's not even available yet, but it will be very, very soon. So stay tuned on that. But I'm really, really excited. I want to go through it myself, honestly. I want to look at all the presentations myself. I was telling my son about Patricia St. Louis sea walking out and how you were going to like give her a hug or shake her hand, and Kendrick Lamar comes on and she just starts to. He's been asking me nonstop. He's like, "Do you have the video yet? Do you have the video yet?" He's like, "I want to see it." He's like, "I want to see it." I'm like, "I don't have it yet. I don't have it yet." It was the greatest. It was the greatest. You're like walking up to like.
I'm like, what do I do? I'm like left hanging. I'm like,
oh, dude, it was. Oh my god, the funniest thing ever. Oh man, there's a lot of great stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, there were so many little things, right? Yeah. Like, our very own Jackie Lacer and Angie Bennett, right?
I was about to say that.
They came up and did a great job, delivered a lot of really good information. Jackie said some hilarious things, by the way, from the stage, in addition to giving great value. And the speakers were just on their game this year. I feel like, Craig Ritter was great. Brandon Clay was great.
So
good. Josh Youngs did a great job closing out the event. He did a phenomenal job.
Tony Robbins Jr., if I may. I felt like Tony Robbins was in the house. Josh crushed it.
Jesse Pito gave a fantastic talk. Dave Cheatham gave a really, really good talk. Like, there was some just dynamite presentations. And I felt like, we had some really big names, but like in years past, like especially Summit #1, it seemed like we had every single person on the stage was like a huge name. That first year we had, Daniel Kunkel Roberts, Ryan Kimball, Justin Brock, Galen Hendricks, this year there were some huge names, but it was mixed in with some people that might not be as known as broadly. But I felt like presentation wise, this was the best year by far. Everybody just delivered.
I've always been an advocate for more of you take someone who you could take someone who built a big agency and sold it, and Craig Ritter is a great example, right? Obviously he knows his stuff. He's top to bottom, was an agent. He did it all. Like he did it all. And hearing from him is incredible. But I'm also a huge fan and advocate of the agents who are still in it. The agents who are building their agency, they're at 1,000 clients, 1,500 clients, whatever it is, right? And they're sharing their information. They're sharing what's worked for them. I love those. I love those people. Those are the people I really enjoy networking with and talking to. And I thought it was a really great mix
Yeah.
of people this year, and could be more excited about next year. And so, if you missed the announcement, we're running it back. We'll be back at the Hilton right there in Salt Lake City. If you head over to sevenfigure.com, you can learn more about next year's summit. You can buy a ticket. There's sponsorship opportunities, all sorts of great stuff for next year's event. So, yeah, I was thrilled. I was really thrilled how the event went.
Yeah, me too.
I think the stage was super cool. Excited, and we already had with the ESI, and shout out to the ESI team. I mean, what an incredible part of the reason why I think the event was so good this year is just the amount of hands on deck that we had.
Yeah, for sure.
You may have seen some pictures, or if you were at the summit, you may have seen all of our staff walking around, and it made our lives so much easier. We were talking after the summit in person. We were talking about how the first summit, Christian's basically having to do everything. Christian's setting everything
Small
up.
team,
Yeah,
like two or three people,
yeah.
other than me.
Christian's getting help. I'm helping. Everyone's trying to
Yeah.
help Christian out because it's so fun. And this year was the opposite. We had so many people helping out. We didn't have to do anything, which was a really, really great feeling.
We were just able to focus on the event, the networking,
the
making all the
content.
attendees feel welcome,
Yes.
and what was going on the stage. We were able to put our full
Yes.
attention to that, which was, I think, part of what helped make it that much better. That
100%.
that laser focus for sure. Yeah, no, I feel like it was a great event. We're already, if I remember correctly, we're already over 100 tickets for reserve
Yes.
for next year. I don't know what the exact number is, but this year we had over 300 people there. We're shooting for between 400 to 500 next year. So there's always people that procrastinate. There's always people that wait to the last second. There were people this year that wanted to go that waited literally to the last second and couldn't get a ticket. So if you do want to be in Salt Lake City next year, if you want to attend the event of the year, and it will be the event of the year. It was the event of the year this year. It will be the event of the year next year. Do not wait. Get your ticket because it'll be better next year. That's our focus. We're already talking about ways we can make it better for next year. I want to shift gears a little bit before we get into the main topic because I want to talk about that. But I want to talk about AHIP. Talk about AHIP. So
AHIP.
One of the things I did the last couple of weeks when I was spending a lot of time in the hospital is I did my AHIP.
Is it really doing your AHIP if you don't post your score though? Isn't that the requirement?
I did post my score.
That's what I'm saying. That's why you can say you did it. You posted your score.
Yes, and no, it's not. No one knows that you did it unless you tell everyone about it.
We care about your AHIP score here in Seven Figure. Okay.
My thoughts on it were, I feel like I just blew right through it. It's like I was a linebacker and I was going up against a kicker trying to tickle me. Tickle me. Trying to tickle me. Yeah, they didn't try to tickle me.
What sort of football are you playing, boy?
Grab ass football. No. I'm a linebacker. I'm running into the end zone, and there's a kicker trying to stop me, and I'm just like, and it's pushing his face down and everything like that, just bulldozing over him. That I was the linebacker and AHIP was the kicker.
There's
this year.
there's so much there. For those of you who actually know football, there's so much there that tells you that Christian does not watch
Tickle,
hardly any football.
try to tickle me.
Why is a linebacker who plays defense, why is a defensive
He
player
intercepted
running
it,
into
okay?
the
He
why is
intercepted
the
it.
kicker on the field then?
I don't know.
Why is the kicker on the field?
Special
Nothing in
teams.
that.
Special team.
None,
Special team.
nothing makes sense.
They're really low on their QB string, okay? The kicker's in there to be the QB.
Oh my god. The analogy's the same though. We'll accept the analogy, okay?
Yeah.
Ran
I was
through
just
a
trying to think
kicker.
of like big imposing guy running
Yeah.
over smaller insignificant guy. I mean, this year in particular, the first 3 modules you could get through it and just skip all of the content because really nothing had changed, like the Medicare basics, and skip right to the practice test. Module 4 and 5, it forced you to go through every slide. And I saw some people complaining about that. And then, yeah, I mean, final exam, I think I got through it in like 25 minutes or something, got 100.
Nice.
Just, I want a cookie. But no, I mean, it's that time of the year. AHIP certifications, everything like that. Everybody's talking about it. And the agents that you don't hear about are the ones that are struggling with it. The ones that are having a hard time getting through it. And ultimately, I think what you need to know if you're an agent about AHIP is, man, the practice questions are the final exam questions. They're the same questions,
Huge hack right there, you guys. Just
It's an open book
gifted.
test in many ways. I've seen people. I talked to an agent yesterday or a couple days ago that failed it once because they put every question into ChatGPT. And it's like ChatGPT failed the test. You can't trust ChatGPT all the way. You just understand that, right? It's not. It might let you down. It might let you down. So, if you're a new agent, the best thing you can do is study the material, try to pass the practice questions, because if you can pass the practice questions, they're the same questions on the final exam. That's really my advice.
ChatGPT sucks. It failed my test for me.
Grok
AI
passed it, on the other
sucks.
hand. No. But
oh man,
yeah, good old AHIP. It's that time of the year. Everybody's talking about AHIP.
Post-summit tradition at this point. Seems like every time the summit ends, that's usually one of the next thing that comes up is everybody's jumping headfirst into AHIP and their certs.
Yep, 100%. Should we shift gears into Medicare Advantage commissions?
Let's do it.
All
I feel like, and I'm thinking back, I feel like this came up during our live pod in person.
And it did. It definitely
Yeah.
did. And
Yeah.
I had seen it being posted in a couple of places, emailed to me. I just hadn't had a chance to dig too much into it and form out too much of an opinion. So I felt like this would be natural for us to kind of circle back on.
Yeah, this is a good follow-up.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to go through them together as a family.
Dude, my lower back is just killing me. I feel like an old man right now.
Is it the chair? What
no,
is it? Is it the beds you've been sleeping in?
It's all of it. It's all of it. It's the amount of driving I've been doing. It's the beds. It's all of it. Just being.
You are aging. You are getting older.
I miss my standing desk right now.
Yes.
Anyway, continue.
Okay, so we're on a website for our friends over at Ritter Insurance Marketing. They always do a good job of kind of posting this in a really digestible way when it does come out. So the big news is essentially just shy of 11% Medicare Advantage increase.
Hello.
From this year to next year.
Wow.
To kind of go through some of these numbers, right? If you have a new to Medicare Advantage sale, this year in 2025, it was $626 on a national basis. That 10.9% increase takes it to $694. The renewal on that, 313 this year, 347 next year. In some states like Connecticut, Pennsylvania, District of Columbia, commission's a little bit higher, 705 this year, 781 next year. Renewal is 353 this year, and next year's 391. In states like California and New Jersey, they're the highest commissions in the country. Jackie doesn't like me telling you all that, but here I am. Sorry, Jackie. The new to Medicare Advantage commission is 780. And in 2025, 2026, it's going up to 864. That's a huge number.
That's crazy.
Renewal, 390 this year in 2025. 2026 is 432. And then in some places like Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands, it's a lower commission. 428 is the true up number this year. In 2026, that's going up to 474. And the renewal in 2025 is 214, going up to 237 next year. PDP is not taking as big of a jump, only about 4.6% on the new and 3.6 on the renewal. So nationally, that true up number's 109 in 2025, going up to 114. So a whole $5 increase in 2026. Renewal is $55 in 2025, going up to 57 in 2026. Now, granted, there's not many carriers left that are paying commissions on PDPs. Currently, there's only 2. So this is only on the carriers that are paying PDP commissions. So when I first share these numbers and we start to look at them, what is your initial thought on that?
Well, I think my first thought is, we talk a lot about chicken littles on the pod. People who think that this industry is dying, that AI is going to take over, that carriers are going to go direct to beneficiaries, that agents and brokers are, slowly becoming unneeded, not
Dinosaurs.
necessary anymore. Yeah. And it's like, if that's all the case, it's like, why would, like, this is just such a huge benefit. How many people are getting a 10% increase in income doing the same thing they were doing last year? This, to me, this speaks volumes to the fact that agents are needed, agents are necessary, and that we need to be compensated accordingly. And when you look at inflation, cost of healthcare, all of these things that have gone up over the past several years, obviously our commissions on these applications should follow that same trend. So
Yeah.
I think this is such a huge win. I don't know how else you can look at it. How can you look at this and be like, oh, this is bad? I don't see it.
There's so many industries that too, when like there is something like this of an increase, it might just keep up with inflation numbers. I just did a
Right.
quick search to see what inflation was at over the past 12 months. And the source is basically anywhere between 2.7% to 2.9%, right? So this is over triple, almost 4 times beating the inflation rate over the past 12 months, which is super strong. And this comes from CMS's decision to increase Medicare Advantage funding for 2026. It went up by, we've talked about this on the pod as well.
We did.
It went up by almost 6%, estimating into, the multi-billions of dollars in additional funding. So that's where this ultimately comes from. And, for me, I've had a lot of agents ask about non-commissionable plans, suppressed plans, just what's going on in the market. Do you feel like this is a trend that's going to turn into, I'm trying to remember who it was. Somebody came up to me during the summit and was like, I noticed a lot of people are talking about bundling and cross-selling. Is that because you think there's going to be no commissions long-term in Medicare Advantage?
I feel like I was there when that question.
You might have
got
been. You might have been standing right there. And I was like, no, that's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I can't speak for anybody else, but like it's sure to diversify, your book of business, but also to increase retention, to cover your client better, to, if you don't sell them this additional ancillary policy, someone else probably will. All of those
Yep.
things that we've talked about into the ground. But I feel like I've talked about this a lot on the show, that there is, in many ways, a pendulum that swings back and forth, back and forth, back
Yep.
and forth. And we're in a mode where it was into the point where there was very low regulation, commissions were booming, plan benefits were booming, and it was almost like a golden age of sorts. Then the pendulum swings back the other way to where, because there's less regulation going on, regulation picks up to take care of some of the bad actors that take advantage of that in a negative way.
Yep.
Plan benefits are super rich. There's market disruption that prevents them from being quite as rich, right? All of these things, pendulum swinging back the other way. But the pendulum will at some point swing back the other way. And people that are giving up on the space and getting out of it because of fear, they're going to miss that wave. And the people that continue to find ways to grow throughout it, despite it all, are going to be in such a prime opportunity to take advantage of that opportunity. Plus, not to mention the opportunity of taking advantage of market disruption.
This episode of the Seven Figures or Bust podcast is brought to you by the Seven Figure University. SevenFigureUniversity.com is a culmination of Christian Brindle's and mine's educational videos that we have developed over the past 2 decades of combined experience in the senior insurance space. There's more than 250 videos, hundreds of hours of content that can help you become a top producer or a top producing agency in the senior insurance space. We're talking about videos of how to work with specific carriers, how to do different types of marketing, such as seminars or Facebook advertising, how to generate content in the niche to help grow your business, how to grow an agency, all sorts of things. There's so much value in this. It's unbelievable. Christian, what do agents need to know about Seven Figure University?
Seven Figure University can best be thought of as an agency blueprint in a box that's put together for you, that brings you step by step in every facet of building a successful 7-figure insurance agency, and lays it out all in front of you so you can follow along. Whether you guys need help with marketing, whether you guys need help with branding, whether you guys need help with hiring, training, standard operating procedures, systems and processes, automation, you name it, it's covered in this course. Not only that, you get access to my weekly training calls every Thursday that go from January through the end of September on a week-to-week basis. And you can attend those live and ask questions live. And then, of course, the recordings are put into the university afterward if you can't attend it and make the live training. So there's just so much value. It's the gift that keeps on giving, and it's a great investment into your business to kind of keep you up to date on what's going on, but also kind of point you in the right direction in various things that you're struggling with.
Some of the best training you'll be able to find, you guys, in one spot for one price. Go to sevenfigureuniversity.com and learn more.
Let's get back to the show.
Yeah, I think, and I remember being there when that question got asked of you. This whole idea, and again, it's more of the same that I feel like we've been hearing over and over and over. Is like, commissions are going away. Get out of Medicare now. Look at something else. And the reality is, and then I've said this before, specifically when we had that situation on the pod where someone was talking about their regional carriers. They're having issues with some of their regional Medicare Advantage carriers going non-commissionable. What do I do? What do I do? And it's like, perseverance is going to win this race. If those of you, if you are struggling for one reason or another right now, if you're struggling because and part of this whole thing, it has been very kind of regional. Your local market might be more disrupted than other markets. In the Utah market, which is one of our primary markets, we haven't had as much disruption so far, which we've really been grateful for that. We've had a lot of agents in our downline that we've talked to who've had a lot more disruption. Obviously we're in pretty much every single state. We're nationally licensed. ESI. So we see it from all sides. But perseverance is what, as an agent, is going to get you to the other side. And ultimately, you're going to get to take advantage when the pendulum does swing back. If you can outlast whatever hardship you're seeing, once the pendulum swings back, now you're at the front of the line. That's kind of how I view this.
Yeah.
I just don't see it. I don't see this go. It's not going away anytime soon. Medicare's not going away. They're not going to pull all commissions. They're not going to pull all renewals. Like, this is something that's going to be here for, in my opinion, at least the next 5 to 10 years. Like, I really don't see any major changes in the next 5 to 10 years. Post 5 to 10 years, now we can talk about some potential bigger disruption threats, but it's so far down the road at that point. It's like, well, let's focus on now. Make hay while the sun shines. Focus on this AEP.
Post 10 years, Robot Patriot Insurance.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes.
I did 10,000 apps today. Suck it, bitch.
I built rapport with every client and cross-sold 97%.
Oh, you did 5 apps today? That's cute. I just want a trash talking top producer robot. That's what I want. Like a robot that's a top producer, does like 1,000 apps in a day, but talks a lot of shit in the process, like acts like an actual top producer would be. Oh, you did 15 appointments today and killed yourself. I did that in 2 seconds.
It's like posting on social media. It's like, I just wrote my 75th app this morning. What are you doing?
Try to keep up. Ha ha ha.
Humans aren't necessary. We don't need you.
I have also informed all of my clients that as
Guys,
well.
Before we get any further in today's glitch there for a second. Guys, before we get any further into today's episode of the 7 Figures or Bust podcast, I do want to mention today's sponsor, which is none other than Lead Heroes. Right now at Lead Heroes, we have a huge discount that you can take advantage of. It is our summer promotion, quite possibly one of our last lead discounts that we will be offering this year. With AEP just right around the corner, we will be so busy and so booked out, our ability to offer these types of discounts essentially disappears. You can get a fixed cost, call verified, final expense or Medicare supplement lead for just $19 per lead right now. Normally, that's between $40 to $35 per lead. So you're looking at saving almost 50%. You can save $500 or more. You're going to want to take advantage of this promotion before it's gone. Head over to leadheroes.com, LeadHeroes.com. Take advantage of the Turning 65 leads, the final expense leads, and the Medicare supplement leads, which are all being discounted right now. Only for another week. By this time next week, this promotion is gone. So you have less than 7 days to pull the trigger. Do not wait. Take advantage of this discount while it's still here. You can order it now, work it later. If you're busy, that's totally fine. The minimum order is 30 leads. So save your money, have a better CPA. Buy those leads today before this discount's gone. Again, head over to leadheroes.com.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I wasn't sure how much time topic-wise we'd have on this episode, but we still got a good bit of time. There were several other topics that we've been meaning to get into. I didn't know if we wanted to save them for other episodes, but I think we have plenty of time to jump into another one. This one I found super interesting. So Medicare Advantage prior authorization, or Medicare, original Medicare prior authorization. Right. This was a big kind of topic that kind of came out. And and this might be something we also do an additional episode as its own topic as well, but we can kind of briefly touch on it. I'm going to share my screen and go into an article about this. Have you seen too much about this over the past couple of weeks?
Shout out to Mr. Andrew Saul. I saw him sharing a lot of information about prior authorizations for original Medicare. And from what I heard is that it's already being test piloted right now. Here it is. Yes. Yeah. So I did hear about this, and I think this is going to be something very interesting to continue to follow. But yeah, let's get into this article.
Yeah. So more or less, we'll kind of dig through some of the specifics, but come 2026, they're testing this for original Medicare in 6 states with traditional fee-for-service original Medicare on a certain number of specific services, right? That can be done. So article starts off by saying, traditional Medicare, also known as original Medicare, has historically required little in the way of prior authorization for beneficiaries seeking services. Pre-authorization was typically the domain of Medicare Advantage, but that's about to change as CMS announced that it will implement prior authorization requirements for certain traditional fee-for-service Medicare services in 6 states starting next year. This change will go into effect January 1st, 2026, when the CMS starts to test ways to improve or to provide an improved an expedited prior authorization process related to original Medicare's existing processes, helping patients and providers avoid unnecessary or inappropriate care and safeguarding federal taxpayer dollars. Translation, original Medicare, and I've been saying this all year on this podcast, by the way, original Medicare approves a bunch of things it's not supposed to, and it's wasteful. And Medicare Advantage plans don't.
Yeah.
That's translation. Safeguarding federal tax dollars, helping patients and providers avoid unnecessary or inappropriate care. That's very nice way of saying that. Per a CMS press release, the model being implemented in 2026 builds on a change to prior authorizations rolled out by the Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, and CMS on June 23rd, 2025. So what are the 6 states? 6 states are New Jersey, Ohio, Oklahoma, Texas, Arizona, and Washington. Okay. It will apply to 17 services that CMS says are vulnerable to fraud, waste, and abuse. What have we talked about all year on this show? We've talked about how easy it is for providers and bad actors to commit fraud against original Medicare, right? Yep. So like for all the time people spend beating up on Medicare Advantage for having any kind of prior authorization, it's to protect against that. And Medicare Advantage has it happen all the time. You just don't see it happen as much. Not to say it doesn't happen, but you don't see it happen as much to carriers. So it sounds like original Medicare is kind of going down that route.
But why do you think they picked those states? Out of curiosity, I thought that was a very interesting group of states that they selected. Like, did they just throw darts at a dartboard, or like were they trying to kind of spread out across the country? Because it does seem like there's a little bit of, you've got West Coast, you've got Southwest, you've got East Coast, you've got a little bit of Central America. Were they just trying to kind of dabble maybe and pick across the board? Do you have any thoughts on that?
You know, I'd just be speculating, as I've been accused of doing more than anything. But no, I think it's possible that it's that. I think another possibility is maybe they looked at numbers in terms of where they see this kind of abuse happening the most. And maybe they base it off of that. I can't say for sure. I don't have any inside information on that. But yeah, kind of interesting, the states that they picked. I would have thought Florida would have been in that list if it was based off of, the most offenses.
Florida, we see you, okay? We know what's going on.
I'll read through a tiny bit more. So the Trump administration's continuing fight against fraud, waste, and abuse. The beginning of the second Trump administration brought the inception of DOGE and its tech-savvy staff tasked with finding fraud, waste, and abuse in government, including Medicare and Social Security. HHS and CMS appear to be continuing DOGE's mission with the introduction of an agreement among private insurance companies to pledge to streamline and improve the prior authorization process for Medicare Advantage, Medicaid, and managed care health insurance marketplace and commercial plans covering nearly 8 out of 10 Americans. The introduction of the short list of Medicare services for prior authorization will test how well technologies such as machine learning and AI can streamline the prior authorization process. CMS is committed to crushing fraud, waste, and abuse, and the YZR model will help root out waste in original Medicare, said Dr. Oz.
Said Dr. Oz.
Dr. Oz. I'm going to see if it gives us a whole lot of detail. I know I saw a list somewhere of what specific. Here you go. Services that are going to be subject to prior authorization. Okay, so electrical nerve stimulators, sacral nerve stimulation for urinary incontinence. I'm not qualified to read this list. Phrenic nerve stimulator, deep brain stimulator for essential tremor and Parkinson's disease, vagus nerve stimulation, induced lessons of nerve tracts,
lesions,
epidural. What did I say?
Guys, he's an agent. He's not an actual medical provider, okay?
PVA, skin,
let me ask you something.
I'm just going to jump around a little bit.
Yeah, let me ask you something. So before this, with original Medicare, basically once the doctor wrote it up, it was getting pushed. It was going to be billed. Like it was good to go. There was,
right,
because there was no prior authorizations. Yeah, I mean, so, my take on this is if it's good for Medicare, then it's good for all of us, right? So, I don't know. I would only be speculating if I tried to guess how much money this could potentially be saving, but we want Medicare to be around for a long time, collectively. That's good for all of us, right? So, like, we should all be behind this in a good way, especially if the technology behind the prior authorizations, because I think the biggest hangup would be delaying care. But if the technology allows us to speed these prior authorizations up, I think it can be a great thing. The other thing that I think is really interesting is I remember when we went through the Dr. Oz confirmation hearing on this show. Great episode. If you didn't see that episode, fantastic episode. And one of the things he talked about in his confirmation hearing was exactly the article we just went through. He was talking about the utilization of AI to do prior authorizations with original Medicare. Guys, it's July 17th. He's literally been in power for 3 or 4 months. I want to say it was, actually, no, it was like, what, mid-March? Because I remember it took forever for him to finally get in. It's been like 4 months. So I think that's up. I'm optimistic to see that he was able to take some, because I'm assuming this really comes from his direction. Is it not?
Probably his direction, but I'm sure he has like a team around him as well. Sure. Kind of like the president, right, with an administration, but
for sure.
So I'm sure it's the combination of that, but I'm sure his team shares a lot of his values and what he would like to see implemented. I'm sure they're all kind of in unison with that.
Doesn't that seem fast on speed to implementation, though, for a government office? I think that's impressive, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it definitely does. And so the argument against this, kind of like what you said, to piggyback off on it a little bit, is, prior authorization is demonized to the umpth degree, right? Prior authorization is painted by media, by Medicare YouTubers and all this stuff.
Denial of care. Care.
That it is the literal full incarnate boogeyman, that because of it, seniors are left on the sidewalk outside of the hospital to die with an audience surrounding them. Like that is what it's painted out to be. So
Yeah.
I think that from that perspective, the people that are super anti-prioritization, they're going to be like, care isn't going to be able to be done. The whole thing with prioritization is when it's done and for service that it's not supposed to be done for, or everything that's required is provided by the provider and they still fight it anyway, all of that kind of stuff. It creates more work for the provider, although I don't really feel that bad for them on that. Like, do your job. Provide the diagnosis in full. But so that's the argument against it, right? That it's bad for seniors in terms of that, their overall experience getting their care. But at the same time, that would make sense if there weren't people out there actively for many years, as long as I've been doing this and as long as you've been doing this, abusing that original Medicare system, right? Knowing that things will go through without really much of a hiccup or being analyzed. So I think from that perspective, it does contribute towards Medicare being stabilized longer term and remaining to be able to be solvent and continue going. And I think that's important for that reason. So I think it's kind of a double-edged sword from that regard. I think it's one of those things where I think it's probably long-term a good thing, but I 100% think it's going to be painted as the boogeyman, maybe for political purposes or something else.
The media machine will definitely latch onto that for sure. We've already seen it with some of these other stories and headlines that we've covered this year, where what in my opinion on a lot of this stuff is follow the money, right? Most of the time the media companies, they're just trying to drive traffic. They want the clicks, they want the advertising dollars. I think that's a lot of times the motivation behind it. So again, prior authorization, potential. Obviously, some people will get denied care if it's not authorized prior. They don't get consent, and then that's what they'll latch on to, and then that's the clickbait headline, and that's what gets pushed out to the masses, right? Is this is horrible. Look at what's happening to seniors. Medicare's getting gutted from the inside and blah, 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 blah. But the reality is, especially when you look at how Medicare Advantage has been doing it, this is normal operating procedure. I mean, that's the reality in my opinion.
Yeah. And I also think it levels the playing field where the quality of care between the two, it will ultimately end up being more similar, right? On level playing fields and everything like that. You won't be able to kind of use that as an argument to demonize Medicare Advantage anymore, although people will probably still try.
For sure.
But yeah, all in all, it remains to be seen in terms of what it actually looks like. But it's probably a good thing to prevent probably billions of dollars in fraud, waste, and abuse payments every single year. I would begin to estimate.
It's gotta be billions. I would imagine. I mean, original Medicare, even though it is the minority to Medicare Advantage, you're still talking about millions, tens of millions of beneficiaries that are still on original Medicare. So I wouldn't be surprised if we're talking about billions of dollars in savings for Medicare. So I don't know. I think what's most exciting to me about the whole thing is to see someone like Dr. Oz come in, have an idea, and within 3 or 4 months, we're implementing something. I'm so used to government taking years to do any sort of meaningful change, and technology's being utilized too. I mean, I don't know. That's crazy to me. When you look at, again, just historically how a lot of these government organizations are being ran. It's slow. Technology's not being used. They have a great idea. It takes 3 years to go into effect, and how much time and energy and money got wasted and the time it took to actually implement the idea. So that's the most exciting part to me, is maybe we'll actually be able to figure some stuff out. If we can come up with an idea and implement it in 3 or 4 months, maybe that's, maybe we're on a much better track than we've been for a long time.
Yeah, I would agree. We're getting close to the hour mark. Might be a good time to move into final thoughts on episode 126.
Yes.
126.
126.
I mean, I guess I can go first. So my final thoughts, guys, on the myriad of topics that we talked about on today's episode. So, I think with Medicare Advantage commissions increasing, I think it's a good sign for growth, right? It's a sign of growth. It's a sign of, opportunity in our space. And I've remained bullish on our space. I've remained bullish on our industry. And I really think we're going through a disruption right now. And I think that's kind of what can be chalked up to a lot of kind of what we've been seeing. But I think ultimately we're in a good space. And I think this is just more evidence of that. And I think long-term, there's a bright future ahead for the Medicare space. Prior authorization, kind of reiterate it. I think all in all, right, I certainly understand that there is an argument to be made for it being a negative thing, but ultimately something as big as Medicare, as national as Medicare, serving so many tens of millions of Americans as Medicare, cannot operate in a way to where there's just no questions asked and everything's paid and approved. It just is. It's ridiculous. It's no wonder why Medicare is in the red every year and has been for many, many years. Medicare needs to run like an insurance company, unfortunately, for it to be able to be sustainable and stay around long term. There is no other type of insurance that operates the way Medicare does. No questions asked. Oh, you need to be in the hospital for 6 months for a broken fingernail. That's what the code says. Yeah. Yeah. Room service. You want some Jell-O with that? There's a reason why. There's a reason why.
Green Jell-O, please.
What's green Jell-O?
I want the green Jell-O.
$1,000 a cup in the hospital, paid for by Medicare.
It's money. I want to pretend it's money, and I'm eating it. Feed it to me, nurse. I don't have my teeth in.
The nurse feeding it to me. That's another $1,000. And that's, it might sound ridiculous, but like, no questions asked is crazy and unsustainable and just ripe for abuses.
Yeah.
And we've seen it for many, many years. And so to me, it just makes sense. It's logical. It's natural that something that covers as many people as Medicare operates like every other type of insurance literally in America does. Makes sense to me. It's logical. So I think all in all, long-term, it'll be a good thing. So that's my final thoughts on episode 126.
I want to, for my final thoughts, you guys, I do want to piggyback on kind of what Christian was just saying there. Like if you're not aware, maybe you're a newer agent, right? I know that we get new agents coming in all the time. So maybe you're a newer agent in the space and you're not familiar with some of the fraud, waste, and abuse that's happened in the past. You can head over to the Department of Justice. They have a website where they'll publicly post some of the bigger cases. Obviously, they're not chasing every little thing because they have limited time and resources. So they're focusing on some of the biggest, worst actors. But you'll see some of the fraud, waste, and abuse that's happening, like what Christian's talking about. We're talking about tens of millions of dollars.
You will see that, but you know what you won't see? Epstein files. Oh, sorry.
Hey!
I got it. Slipped it.
Slipped it in. Yes. Deleted. Um, so again, I am a fan of the prior authorizations. I think it does. We want long-term sustainability. We need that for our careers in the industry. We need that for the beneficiaries. I think it is a good thing. The increase in Medicare commissions is also a great thing. My first thought when I'm thinking about that is from a CPA perspective, I can spend 10% more now on acquiring a client. Because that client, the lifetime client value it's going up. I mean, 10% in an annual commission, first year commission or your renewal commission, the lifetime client value, the compounding effect of that is really even greater than 10%, right? Because now you're talking about a 10% year over year over year. You're talking about a massive lifetime client value increase. I could probably put together some type of equation for you guys to try to give you some sort of number, but it's well over 10% now. I don't know. It's probably like 30%, 40%. If you look at the lifetime client value, especially on a turning 65, someone who's new to Medicare, and then if they end up on your books for 15 or 20 years, and then I'm sure there's going to be more increases in the future because they've got to at least keep up with inflation. So, you're talking about essentially an exponential increase in your income just by doing the same thing you were doing last year. So I think that's a huge, huge positive. I'll kind of leave you guys with this. The number one reason why agents fail in this industry, whether it be a Medicare agent, a life insurance agent, anyone in the senior agent space, is because they don't have enough prospects to talk to. If you need help talking to more prospects, do not wait. Head over to leadheroes.com right now. This is what we do. This is why I created Lead Heroes over 10 years ago. We want to help you guys get in front of more prospects so you can write more business and earn more money. It's really that simple. So I love it. I'm so glad we're able to get this episode in today. It's been far too long. I don't know schedule-wise, you guys, and I think Christian would probably mirror my thoughts on this. I'm not sure when the next one will be coming. We'd love to be pumping these out every day moving forward. We'll have to kind of play it by ear.
We'll figure it out. I'm sure there's a possibility we can do some episodes next week. We'll discuss internally with each other and kind of figure out schedule-wise what makes the most sense. But we'll be watching on the horizon for more episodes. Appreciate you guys watching all the way to the end. We missed you. We're glad to be back. Hope you enjoyed this episode. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Here's to your massive success. Thanks, everybody.
Happy selling.